This is April.
And this is Tiffany.
And you're listening to the Tea of Life podcast, where we enjoy telling each adventure of life.
We hope that you enjoy listening today as we dive into this week's episode.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm trying not to say, okay, so, because I just said awesome. Like, trying to, not, do my normal, okay, so.
We're going to transition now into introduction time.
Introduction is the hardest part, I think, of the whole entire podcast, is getting started and actually starting the conversation.
Y'all are making me nervous.
Sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm Tiffany. I'm like, dang it, I did it again. I'm April.
Did you do that? Let's all trade places.
She's Well, today we have one of my very best friends for 20 plus, more than half my life.
Wow.
Years. Carolyn Penner. We're going to be laughing a lot during this podcast today. So if anybody is driving or operating heavy machinery, you might want
wanna pull over.
make sure that you listen to this at another time. So Carolyn and I have been friends. We met at Home Depot. I'm going to allow her to share the story about how we actually met in the beginning. But we started working together back in 1991. At Home Depot.
Actually, it's coming up on the actual date because my first day there was Labor Day.
Oh, really?
91.
My first day was Valentine's Day, 91.
That's so funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome.
So you were all seasoned by the time I got there. You knew all the...
I probably trained you. Did I train you as
I
a
don't
cashier?
know. My first recollection of you, though, was standing, because remember, we had to stand at the end of our register and greet people and try to get them to come to our line
Yes.
if we weren't waiting on somebody. And I remember you were already standing there, and I stood there, and I vividly remember looking over to my left, and you were standing there, and I'm like, yeah, so you probably know, you've probably been doing this for a while, or I'm sure I was making small talk, like, how long have you been here? And you were looking at me like you're looking at me now, like, just... And you didn't respond. I don't think that you responded. You just looked at me, and I thought, okay, moving right along. We'll talk to whoever's at my right. Clearly, this chick does not want to talk to me. She thinks I have 6 heads or something.
I do remember that. I remember standing there looking at you.
What were you thinking? You didn't say anything.
I don't know what I was thinking. I was probably thinking, oh my God, somebody's talking to me. I don't know how to respond.
Stare down contest.
I know. I just remember being like, okay, mental note. This one does not speak.
This one's not a live one.
Little did we know.
So it was right after that you actually got promoted to the return desk.
Wasn't it called the Special Services Desk? It was all one. No, it was all one when we were there. Because remember, we handled all
That's right. You're right.
All the orders and stuff.
Yeah, so when you were promoted,
We
you
were at
actually
Special
went
Services.
to the Special Services Desk. So, Special Services was returns and Special Services.
Did you have a badge?
We rented rinse and vacs, and we have some great stories about... Oh my gosh. Rinse and vacs?
Like the carpet
the carpet
cleaners.
cleaners. And people would return them without cleaning them, or they would be full of the water.
Pet hair. Remember, there was like an entire chihuahua. It was nasty.
And we would have to clean them.
Yes.
We would have to take them out back and clean them ourselves if they were returned that way.
Except for the occasional time when we had it and we flipped it over and showed the customer, you can't have your deposit back. You need to go clean this outside.
Oh, no,
do you remember that?
I think we did that a few times until we got caught by the managers.
I think we got in trouble.
Yeah, we did get in trouble for that.
Because those were the days when the customer
was always right.
could do anything. And
the customer could do anything. They could make returns without receipt. They
returned stuff that didn't even come from Home Depot.
No.
And we would take it back.
Stickers like Sears. I remember returning something that had a Sears price tag on it or Walmart.
And we would return it and give them their money back.
Yes.
We had in March of one year, we had somebody return a Christmas tree because it died.
It was a live Christmas tree, yes.
And they had no receipt. We had to get somebody from gardening to come and try to identify this dead Christmas tree in March.
Would that be a Douglas or a Fraser?
And so they basically just had to give them back full price of whatever the customer said that it was. Yeah, I think it was like a $70 return.
No.
See, that we gave them back.
Draw the line there.
Yeah,
I would
no.
have just gotten fired because I'm
We
like,
had-
I can't take stupid.
We had people
me.
We
We
had
tried that, and the manager, like,
we would have people return toilet seats
oh, it was wet.
that had
it was
been
wet.
clearly
Tiffany. It was,
used, and they would
Gross.
bring them back
Gross.
because they broke or because they were
nasty.
yeah,
My
exactly.
gosh, that's why
So
there's special services.
exactly.
We
Exactly.
we wear
I think-
gloves at one point. We put
One of
gloves
my
on.
favorite things, though, was that
Nasty.
people would return. You know the brass fireplace screen thing that you buy to
yeah.
put over.
Yeah.
So this was
forgot about
regular.
this.
Like this was on a regular basis. This wasn't just
my
isolated incidences. On a regular basis, people would buy like the brass.
That was big
And
in
they-
the early 90s.
Okay.
Brass was all the rage.
They would buy the
yeah.
brass ones and they would return them and they would say, I wanted brass. I didn't want blue.
This is green or blue. Yeah.
Because they used it.
no,
or what?
because of
I remember.
the
Why do I
protective
remember?
tape that's on top of it.
Like
to
the
keep
film.
It from,
Yeah, to keep it from
that you
getting
have
scratched.
to peel off. That comes on everything that shines. Like your phone, you know,
Yes,
you have
yes.
that little protective cover. And the protective cover would be blue. And they would say, I didn't want blue. I wanted brass. And I'm thinking, do you think
They
they
don't
make
even
this
sell
in
them in
blue?
blue.
Like, who would put blue on their fireplace? Like, and so my favorite thing is I'd walk over and open the box and I'd start peeling it. I would say, this has a protective film on it. It's actually brass underneath. And they would go,
yes.
oh. So that was all redeeming for the whole everything
I would
else.
agree.
You're like, and have a nice day.
Have a nice
You're
day.
welcome. You're welcome.
My pleasure.
Good times.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
Good
Make you look.
times.
Yeah, so we can still say, you know, we would have we would do the returns and it kind of reminds me of Office Space. You know how you hear Office Space, you hear the girl answering the phone, corporate accounts, you know, payable, whatever. Means just a moment. So
Do you remember-
we think top 3 lines signed by the X, please.
Top three
lines signed by the X. Top 3
yeah.
lines signed by the X. Do you have a return? Top 3 lines signed by the X.
And we had pre-made the X's, I think. Oh my word. That was the nastiest job at Home Depot. Like
Yeah.
by far the nastiest job. But it was probably the best time. Good times.
So I'm sure that we could probably sit here and talk about Home
That's
Depot
another
and
podcast.
returns and all kinds of stuff. But I remember too, like just after you had actually been promoted to the service desk.
Promoted.
But I remember you telling me that you were promoted before I was. Clearly because you were like more social than I was. But
Little did we know.
then I remember they had come to me and asked if I wanted to come up there, and you had been working up there for a little bit. I remember you telling me the story of how you heard that I was coming to the service desk, and you were actually really nervous about that because you thought, great.
Did I tell you that? Oh, great. She's not going to speak to me. Oh,
Quiet.
funny.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then you and I got scheduled one night together,
Oh, I think I remember that. And I think actually, that's so funny. I
and you
forgot
saw
about
the
that.
schedule, and you looked at the schedule, and you thought, oh man, I'm closing with her.
And we actually had fun. What did
We
wait
did.
a minute? Wait
we
a
had
minute.
fun, and we planned a trip to Destin or something.
Wait a minute. There was like a line we kept saying. Kind of
it
fun.
was your nephew kept saying something.
Actually, yeah,
it was your
Actually.
nephew.
She says that to this day.
Actually, I still say that.
Actually, and so.
That is funny. I forgot all about that. And then, that was the turning point in our relationship. I
was.
forgot all about that. Wow.
It was.
I remember coming in. I was the first one there, and someone had put a sticky glue trap.
That was me.
Put it there under the service desk.
Yeah, because we also
where
had a
our
rat
feet-
problem.
Oh.
I came in and I was getting everything set up for the day, and I looked down and there was a mouse stuck on the glue trap. But he wasn't dead. He
wasn't
was
dead.
trying to get
No,
off.
I know, that's the
And he was
worst.
like,
He was like eating his legs to try to get himself free.
and I felt so bad. I was like, oh my word, there's no, like, there was a part of me that was like, kill it. And the other part of me was like, free it. And so then Tiffany came in. I'm like, there is a mouse stuck on the glue trap. So we got the first guy that walked by. We're like, there's a mouse. Like, come do something. Like, come get this and just get rid of it. He comes up, and his way of solving the problem, that was back in the day where we had to use like slips for like charge receipts. They would do. We had to slip them. That was we had to slip them into the register and they would print and you would sign it and get your copy.
Okay.
He takes one of those, puts it over the mouse and the trap, then proceeds to take one of those
swing
long
line
staplers,
staplers.
like the long ones.
Back to Office Space. He took the swing line stapler.
and just wham!
No.
And me and Tiffany, I still remember
We were
Tiffany screaming.
traumatized.
One of us was up on the counter. I just remember one of us were like, ah! That was nasty. So then
It was
he just
horrible.
picks it up.
But he does it like before we can even think. Like it's not even something
there was
that we
no
could
way.
even.
Let's see if there's a better way.
Yeah,
No. And then he picks it up and threw it in the trash can right under our register.
Right, and so we made him take the trash bag.
And then started to walk off, and we're like, no. Like, you are not, like, nasty.
You must complete this task. This is not
I think we took the bag out, tied it, and handed it to him. Like, we will speak of this to no one. Like, that was nasty. Oh,
until 25 years later. And now we're broadcasting it to everyone.
yes. Oh, I still remember the guy's name. Oh,
Yes.
that was nasty. Good times. Good times.
Yeah, we had a lot of really good times.
That was fun. That was a lot of
Home
fun.
Depot,
Like the
yeah.
group we had up there, and
What's really cool though is that we have reunions now
Yeah.
with
Yes.
that specific group of people who
Yeah.
worked together at that particular store. And this is 25 years later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to share anything about your family? Do you like them?
I do like. I love my family. Actually, that's probably good to know. I am married to Scott Penner, and we have 3 boys. And I was thinking the other day, I'm like, where did the last 5 years go? Like, literally, like, I look at my youngest, and I'm like, how are you in 2nd grade? Like, it's just flown. Like, I can't even remember the stage of them clinging. And I remember people telling me, like, it's going to go by fast. But when you're on the front end of it, it is not going by
Like, I
fast.
hope so.
And when you're in the
feel
middle
like
of
it.
it doesn't
It feels
go
like
by
it's your
fast.
forever.
Yes.
And I wish that I would have like maybe taken time to like stop and
Yeah.
go, this is not my forever.
Well,
'Cause
people
feel like
tell
it's
you
your
that,
forever.
but you don't. When you're in the grocery store trying to maintain your sanity, and you've got 2 kids in the cart, one that you're trying to, keep up with, like you don't. Like, that is not the time you need to hear, this won't last forever. And, I miss those days. And now I do that to people in the store. I'm like, oh, I miss those days. Because now I don't have a buddy at the store. It's so weird. I'm like lost. I'm talking to myself.
That's so funny that you say that. I look at people when they come and they carry their little kid in the car seat.
In the bucket.
I want to go, they grow up, don't you? I mean, that's my responsibility. They grow. Oh my God, they grow up. You have them and then they grow up.
I know.
So you like your family? That's good.
Yes, I do like my family. My boys think I'm crazy, which is great. That's like perfect. That's where you want your kids to be. You want them to know that you're crazy enough to possibly carry out the threats that you've made to them. And I remember the day that I saw in their eyes clearly that they understood that I might actually do what I just threatened to do. And it was a great thing. I thought, I got them.
Down.
And your kids need to know that you can embarrass them. And you will embarrass. Like, I will show up to your school in my pajamas if you get another 0.
Oh, there you go.
Or if you.
That's true. I like that.
Yes.
So when we were working at Home Depot together, you were also in college. You mentioned that. And while you were working your way through college, you decided to go for a theater degree.
Yes.
And so you majored in theater.
Yes.
And that was fun because even though I wasn't in college at that point, I kind of felt like I was.
Living vicariously
Because
through
I
me.
attended even some of your classes, I think, with you when you
probably
were
did.
when
How
you
funny.
were when you were preparing for some of your theatrical performances and stuff. And so it was really a lot of fun. And I remember some of the people that you were actually in college with, I was in college with them. It's just funny. But you got your theater degree, and then you had heard about this other organization called Up With People.
Yes.
So tell us about that and how you heard about that.
Well, I finished college and I was working for Home Depot still. And I knew that I could potentially work for Home Depot for the rest of my life if I wanted to. But I was kind of at a point where I was like, I feel like there's something missing, or like there's another adventure. Like, college was over. I had fun. It was great. I met great people and made some lifelong friends. But I just felt like there was still something that was not complete. And I remember actually it was at Home Depot. I was working one evening and I was in the design center, and I had a friend named Brian who was in the lighting department. And I remember telling him this, and we were both just kind of talking like, what's the next step for life? And I said, I just really want to travel, but I didn't know how to make that happen. Mm-hmm. And I had done an exchange program when I was in school. It was like a summer exchange program where I lived and studied in Oaxaca, Mexico. And I stayed with a host family and went to school there. And I think I got like 3 class credits or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you should do Up with People. And I was like, what in the world is that? And he was like, a friend of mine from school did that, and he started telling me about it. So I went home, and those were the days when the internet was like fresh, like I'm like, what is this? So I went online. I think I probably got their 1-800 number and called them and said, can you send me, information about your program? And I got the information in the mail, and of course, it's the admissions and recruiting department. So they're great. Like, they can sell anything, so you get this brochure, and I just remember there was a picture of these people like whitewater rafting, and they've all got these looks on their faces. And then, there's a picture of the stage show, and there's bright lights and bright costumes. And, it was just like, how could you not feel like that looks like a lot of fun?
That was totally speaking
really cool.
to you, because those are all the things that you love.
And then, everybody, I remember everybody asking me, they were like, so how much do you get paid to do that? And I'm like, well, it's an educational program. Like, you pay to do that. So the first step was, I guess just educating myself about the program and just being like, this looks like something I want to do. So I applied, and Brian arranged actually with his friend Dave to interview me. So Brian and Dave and me and my friend Jasmine, I took her along, met at Applebee's and did this interview. But I just remember the whole time, like, we just laughed. Like, it was just hysterical. Brian's hysterical. And so we were just cutting up the whole time, and I got accepted. And then it was like, okay, now I had to raise my money to travel. And, it was funny because I feel like people are really drawn when they see a passion or when they see an opportunity, especially for a young person, I think. Even like my friends, they were just really drawn to the fact that I wanted to do that. And everybody I just had people giving me money, like, here, I want you to put this.
Even though they had no clue what Up With People was.
Yeah, like we didn't, I had never seen an Up With People show, which is, that's most people, they get, they interview at the show. I'd never seen a show. We had never hosted. Nobody, and I don't even know that Up With People had ever been in our area, so it was hard for my parents. I remember my mom came to me and she was like, they knew that I put myself through college, and I think they knew I could handle it, but they were a little nervous. They didn't know. They were like, are you joining the circus or what, So I remember sitting down with my mom, and she said, I'm a little nervous about this. And I remember saying, but I'll be fine, I'll be okay. And then I remember my parents took me to dinner, and we're sitting there, and my mom goes, are you going to tell her? And I was like, okay, what? And so I was just kind of, and my dad's like, I called the admissions office behind your back. And I'm like, what? Okay. Well, you don't call an admissions office. I mean, they know how to reel you in. So it actually worked out good because he talked to some girl who I think was from Belgium, and she worked in the home office, and so she had this cute little accent, and she just totally, it was totally what my dad needed to know, that it was a legit organization, and I was going to be okay, and it, and that it was safe for his daughter to do or whatever. So he was very excited after that.
One of the things that I remember is that you just ran into like a lot of opposition from other people, just people who didn't understand what the organization was about.
Yeah.
But not only that, but even if there was somebody who did understand what the organization was about, like, that's just not normal for you to just quit your job. I mean, because you had to quit your job, which Home Depot, as we know, could be a career. And, for you to have just graduated college and you had been working at Home Depot for a while, you were making pretty good money.
We were all full time with benefits at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I
great
mean,
gig.
and
was
so
good.
continuing with that, it could have been a full-time career for you. And so I know that during that time too, that you had been working there, you had been also like taking advantage of their stock ownership program for the employees and putting away stock and stuff. And you had a lot of that built up as well. So you were well on your way to being fully vested and stuff with Home Depot, right?
I got that phrase, fully vested. That was big.
I know. So there were a lot of people who just didn't understand the fact that you were going to be quitting your job, this career, possibly putting your investments on hold and going and traveling with this place. And so because that's not a natural step, I mean, we're told, we go to school, we go to college, we get in a career, we get married, we have a family, and we have all these natural steps that we are told by society that we are supposed to follow. And if we don't follow those, then there's something wrong, right? And so one of mine and April's big thing is that we want people to understand that you can break out of that. You don't have to follow these natural steps that society tells us that we need to follow. You can follow your passion. You are very passionate about that. And you broke through all of those oppositions that were coming your way, and you ended up quitting your job, your good job.
Yeah.
You had just bought a car.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You had just bought your Honda Civic.
Yeah.
And
94,
so you,
right off the lot.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So you had to actually, make sure that was taken care of during the entire year. You ended up selling all of your Home Depot stock to do this.
That was a big no-no.
Right. I mean, there were people who just
no-no.
thought that you were absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But you did that so that you could pay for this trip and you could have this experience. And I remember you had a World Vision child. Remember
right.
a little World Vision child, and you had to get him taken care of.
Yeah.
So you were actually handing him off to somebody else who would actually take care of him. But you didn't just give him up.
Right.
You made sure that he went to a good family.
Do you remember that story, though?
Who could actually take care of him? No.
So, yeah, it was sponsored. So it was a monthly sponsorship. So I couldn't just be like, okay, I can't sponsor you anymore. I'm going to travel the world. So I was heading to Denver for our staging in January. And I got a call in December from World Vision saying, we just wanted to let you know that your sponsor child, we've got him up and running. He's in a good spot, and he doesn't need, he doesn't need your sponsorship anymore.
Oh,
Would you like to
wow.
sponsor another child? And I just remember I giggled. I was like, that's funny, because I said, well, I don't want to sponsor another one at this time, but call me in a year and I will sponsor another one. And that was a total God thing, and it was confirmation too that not only was God going to protect me and be with me through this whole process, but that it was a good thing.
But he was also not only taking care of you, he was taking care of the child.
I know.
At the same time.
And I think a lot of times, because I remember telling that story and people were like, really? Because if World Vision was not a reputable organization,
They would just keep taking your
they
job.
could keep taking it. The kid could be 56 years
Right.
old and I'm still sponsoring him and he's, whatever. But I really thought that was very reputable. I don't know if-
I've had that
I don't know if that's the
happen
word
as
I
well.
want to use, but just showed the integrity of their organization. So, I was very impressed with that.
So with all those oppositions coming your way, you still fought through those. And you were still seeking your passion because you knew that you wanted to do this. And no matter how many people told you couldn't or you shouldn't or that it wasn't a good idea, you still fought through that. And then you started traveling for the next year. I remember we got married in December of 96.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I think you left in January of 97, just a couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
And then you traveled the entire year and you got to go places all over the United States. You ended up traveling to Norway
for a month and 2 months in Japan. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what Up With People is and some of your experiences that you've had.
What you do is we are not only traveling, we're traveling the world, but every city that we go to, you're staying with a host family that you've never met. So you're going home, you're going in these people's homes that you don't know. And most of the time you would have a roommate, so another student, But for some reason, as an American, and usually in America, if you're going to be a host family, they wanted the international students or whatever, obviously, you know. But for some reason, I got hosted by myself a lot in America. So it was like, hi, hope you're not disappointed. I'm from Georgia. You know? And usually the biggest disappointment was that I did not have a Southern accent, you know, and I'm like, well, I was raised in the South, but my parents aren't Southern. I did. I had to throw in y'all a lot. Be like, hey.
Drink some sweet tea.
Yes, sweet tea is a must. But so we would stay in host families, and then we would do community service. We would sign up for some kind of community service outreach project. I mean, we did everything from picking up trash, we planted trees, we sang at nursing homes. Good grief. We put mulch out at a school in Norway. You know, we washed walls, we painted murals. We would go into schools, elementary schools, and we had a whole curriculum program that we would do with the students, which was a lot of fun, you know, because they were all excited to have, you know, people from all over the world. Our cast, we had about 130 people, and we represented 22 different countries. So it was quite exciting. So not only were we outside of Up With People, you know, in the community, getting to know people, and they were getting to know us, but we also had our little culture, you know, inside our group where we were getting to know other countries through our friendships with, you know, with the people in our cast, and the experiences, you know, that you were doing, and just we would find ourselves in really crazy situations, and so you bonded with these people.
Right.
Wearing a lobster suit on the back of a motorcycle.
Yes, maybe I did that. It's funny because we just had our 20-year reunion, and my friend Allie, I don't remember being friends in staging, and so you go to staging, which is like 6 weeks in Colorado at the headquarters, and you're learning the stage show, you're learning all about what you're going to be doing on the road, and you're just getting to know each other, you're bonding as a cast, and so it's all that stuff, and so it's all the preparation. But so I don't remember really getting to know Allie during staging, but when we got on the road, it was early because we were in the Midwest, and we would stop at truck stops a lot because they're big enough to hold, or, you know, 130 people that pile off these buses, and you can get in and out of a restroom in 30 minutes. So I remember, you know, and the girls always had to wait in a long line, and so you'd be all ready, and that was back in the days of overalls. So my overalls would be all undone, you know, and you're like ready to.
I love overalls.
But it's not fun when your overall straps fall in a truck stop toilet when you're going, and you're stuck on a bus and you can't go anywhere. So yeah, I have had wet. Yes. So get that visual out of your head. I know. So I learned to hold them like in front of me. You know, you learn.
Did you learn just to change into something else before you got off the bus, and then you didn't have to?
Well, you can't because your luggage is all up under the buses. Okay. So yeah, your luggage is like locked under the bus.
And this was before Spanx, so you couldn't let
This
people
was
Spanx
before
and like run out. We're like, hey, we're yoga pants. Those are now big.
We couldn't travel. I wonder if the new cast can travel in yoga pants. I bet they can't. We had to travel. We could travel in overalls. Was that dressy? I don't know how we pulled that off, but we were supposed to travel in like nicer clothes because the buses would pull up, and whatever got off the buses was what represented the organization. I know. Yeah. So Allie and I were next to each other in line, and I just remember like all the girls started kind of turning around, and I peeked in the restroom, and it was literally a room with two toilets side by side. Like there was no wall. There were no, it was just.
Hold each other's straps.
Yeah, I know. Allie, why didn't you hold my strap? I know. So I just remember I turned around, or she turned around, and I'm like, count off, people, we're going in. So it was like, we were potty buddies, you know, we were like truck stops. So we kind of bonded over that. That's so funny. And I mean, what do? You're like sitting there. You can't not go to the bathroom.
Right.
I mean, we had
to go to the bathroom.
Toilets on the bus, but like that was like the walk of shame. And what we were told was that if you have to go to the bathroom while you're on the bus, it is not going to be. The ride's going to get bumpy. So the buses, they would like intentionally swerve while you're, so yeah, good times.
Tour buses do that too.
Yeah, because nobody wants to smell your stank while they're riding on a bus.
Okay.
So you had to go when we had a chance, every chance. So
I have to raise my hand right here. What is the purpose of Up With People? Because I was thinking, is it like YWAM but not as
it's
known?
not a yeah.
One is Christian and one is not.
Okay, so one of the other things too is it's not a Christian organization.
Okay,
It is not a
That was
organization.
I remember that there were a
gotcha.
lot of people in your life who couldn't believe that you would actually travel with an organization that was not a Christian organization. That was a big deal. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like they do a lot of cool things. So tell me the point of that.
It was started back in the 60s as a way to give the youth of the world a voice.
Right.
And, that's when Vietnam was going on. There was just a lot of stuff going on back then. So they wanted to give the youth a voice and so they could be heard, and that, they thought maybe these kids have something to say. Maybe they can actually impact. I mean, what a concept that a kid could impact the world, I mean, we think about our kids today and how innocent and pure their views are, and just how real, but it's real, like they don't have the jaded perspectives that we have. So they started it and, it just kind of grew into what it is now, which is, we're spreading understanding, cultural awareness and, through having dinner with your host family, and through sitting on the bus with a person from Switzerland, you're learning. And I learned far more in that year of being with people and hearing my friend tell the story of when the Berlin Wall came down and when she could finally go to the other part of Germany, what I mean? It's just, it's amazing. Like, all that stuff is in a storybook for us. It's like we read it in history, and I'm not a good book learner. So I learned more in the conversations that I had in the places that we went, because usually there was some type of museum or, monument or something, in every city we went to. You wanted to learn about that place, with your castmates. And so I learned far more being on the road and traveling and meeting people and talking to people and through community service than I learned sitting in a classroom with a book open in front of me. So, I mean, those experiences were far more valuable than anything that I learned,
you
in
get to
school.
express yourself. And from the website, it says the challenge was the world knows what you are against, but they don't know what you are for and what your ideas are for the great issues of the day. And that kind of formed doing the tours, getting people together, using the energy from the youth that were already up in arms. But so I guess it's just a way to unite people and to bring people together from different parts of the world and unifying them in a way that they can, hey, here's a message. You can get it out in a positive way.
Right.
So you traveled when? In the
97. I was Cast D 97.
Well, you just missed it, because had you been in 1993, you could have performed for Pope John Paul II.
I know.
And President Bill Clinton.
So we do have some
You know
famous
what?
actors who have actually traveled with Up With People. So
Actually, big shout out to Mark Schultz, who is a Christian recording artist. He traveled in 95, maybe. I don't know. But he is an uppie. He is an alum.
So
Is that what they're called? Uppies?
Yes, uppie.
That's awesome.
Uppie alum.
That's awesome. So why is it that you think that we still don't hear that much about Up With People? Like a lot of our audience is probably going to say, I've never even heard of them before.
They're still active.
why
Well,
is
I
that?
think it depends, because there are areas in the, I don't know, in our area for some reason it's not big. Though they did come, they've been in Atlanta twice now in the past, I think 5 or 6 years. So it is cool because it's allowed me to take my children to see what it's all about. Because really, if you don't see a show and it's hard to really comprehend. So I don't know, they're not big here. Now up in the Northeast, like they're huge. Like everybody knows. And I remember, the people in the cast are like, you've never seen a show? And I'm like, no.
So when they came to Atlanta, did you host?
No, they were over like in Roswell.
Okay.
And the kids were little and
Yeah, okay.
But I look forward to being a host
That's
mom.
exciting.
I will tell you, some of the best host moms and dads are the ones who are the alum, who travel.
Sure.
They
because
get you. Yeah.
They get you. It's fun, and they understand. And when you say, I traveled in such and such, they're like, yay, it's just, it's a good thing. So
Exciting.
That's cool. So one of the big things that we've established is that Up With People is about community service and kind of giving back.
Right.
But one of the other big things, what they're basically really known for are their performances.
Right,
So
right.
they have performances in every city that they go to. They have these stage performances that you guys are also preparing for
Right.
and getting ready for
Rehearsing.
and rehearsing and everything in each city.
Yeah. So at the end of the week, so you've been at your host family and you've been doing community service. We've had rehearsal every day. And then at the end of your stay is the show, the big show night. So all the host families have gotten to know you. They come, they get your picture taken, they sign your little cast book, and it's a 2-hour Broadway style musical. Ours was like in the Romeo and Juliet type story was what our show, The Festival, was all about. It's cool because, you're responsible when we get to the city, we are responsible for unloading a semi truck full of stage equipment, the lights. We set up all the sound system, all the sets, and we were responsible for doing all that. And then after the show, we had to tear it all down, pack it up so we could leave for the next city. It's funny because from all the productions that I had done prior to Up With People, I don't ever remember getting ready to go on stage at Up With People and feeling like I don't want to be here. Like it was just fun. It was high energy, upbeat, crazy. By the time we knew the show really well, we could kind of goof off with the parts of the show, And one thing that's very Up With People is that you would dance in the aisle. So you would get the audience members
I like
up
that.
and, and do little dances with them and come running down the aisles screaming and just, it was kind of awkward at first because I'm like, I am asking this strange person. But like once the people get into it, you're shaking hands, you're welcoming everybody, and it's just high energy and a lot of fun. And I just loved that. I was never, I didn't study musical, I studied Shakespearean theater, or whatever. It was just totally different, and it was just fun, because inevitably, anytime you're doing a performance, something goes wrong, and we all kind of giggle and get through it or whatever. But the show was a fun part, and it was fun to bond on stage with the cast that way too, and to bring that message, the message of hope, to the audience.
What is one of your most memorable stage moments?
We had it was called the GTO, the Good Time Oldies section, and it was all like oldie songs, and it was really like take a little intermission, like take a deep breath, from the heaviness of the show, and then it was just for fun. It was basically get up, dance with the audience, we've got the Beach Boys playing, all these. And it was just a lot of fun. But there was a television section where they did different television shows. And we went out in trench coats and flashlights. And the stage went dark except for a spotlight because we did the flashlights. We did this dun, 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 dun. And we had to, and the flashlights did a little dance on the stage. And then it went into My Three Sons, which is where 3 of us put our feet together and did the da-da-da-da. And one of the girls, Kristen, could not find her trench coat. And she had changed. We all had to wear like leotards under because we were like changing real fast. So you had to have a leotard on so that you could do your quick changes backstage. Well, she couldn't, like somebody had moved her trench coat because you lay out your stuff because you got like a minute maybe to run around. And so she came running on stage with just a leotard. But luckily it's dark, we all knew. So we're just like, we're like trying to.
Oh my goodness.
It's one of those times you're like, I can't laugh, but now my shoulders are shaking.
Right.
Don't make eye contact. You're like, get off stage, you're like, what just happened? Oh my word. But in a live performance, things like that always happen. So it was funny. There was never a dull moment. We would do BTS, a backtracking show for like festivals, and we were performing on a truck bed. It was like flatbed, like semis, and there were like a couple of them put together. and then there was a stage on top of it, but the stage started collapsing.
Oh no.
And so we've got like dancers, so we're like, get to the front, where it's stable, so we're trying to move the whole show as we go. And then one time the backing tracks started skipping.
Oh, no.
And it was only like half of the cast was performing. The other half was sitting down front, like Indian style, watching us. So they knew. So they're all laughing,
Right.
hysterical. And I'm like, are we dancing? Are we singing?
we
Like,
just
are we
looping?
stopping? Somebody, and we're all it was really awkward, but it was funny.
That was funny.
Good times.
Do you use any of those dance moves or songs right now in your parenting skills?
Oh, yeah. So there was one song called We're Not Buying It. It was funny because I was at the store, right? It was like days after the reunion. I'm back to school shopping with my two little ones and who weren't so little, and they were like, can we get us, will you buy me? And I'm like, we're not buying it. and then I took a picture and I put it on the cast Facebook page. I was like, yeah, using my skills here. Like, they're not even
If
good
anything, yes, your whole tour year, so you could use that song in the Target shopping or wherever you were shopping at.
And the fun thing about the reunion is that we get to perform like 3 of our songs, which was really fun, because we haven't been on stage together for 20 years, and I'm like out of breath. But you get to see, so the way they do the reunions is it's 5-year increments.
Okay.
So the reunion I just went to was 67, 72, 77, 82, 87, 90, and then so on. And so you get to watch one of the original shows,
wow.
and it's cool because some of them still bring their costumes, and you're like, wow, like it's your 50-year reunion.
Yeah.
And we're like, yay.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
So what I'm hearing in your voice is that you don't regret doing this at all.
Oh no. And I would right now, if like the bus pulled up to my driveway,
They're in
I'd be like,
Indiana right now.
right.
Do you see this desire in any of your kids that you would maybe encourage them to possibly do something like this?
I would hope so. I mean, I definitely want them to desire to travel in whatever way they get to see the world, whether it's in Up With People or with mission trips or whatever. I want them to know that the world is bigger than our home, and especially like right now, we're working with the boys with the flood in Houston and everything. And I'm like, I don't feel like we're in our position or we're in where we are right now as an accident, and I don't feel like we're more privileged or we're, for anything other than like, I feel like we're a part of a plan. And we're supposed to use our resources, whether that's your time, your treasure, your talents, and we're supposed to help in any way we can with anything, whether it's a flood in Houston or a third world country. Like, I feel like, we've been put in this situation to help, to be hands, to be the hand, and I want them to learn that. I want them to learn to help other people and to understand other people, not just say, well, they're not like us, understand. They grew up differently. They have a different, foundation for what they believe or, this is why they believe that. And, that's okay. They're different people, I want them to just learn to get to know people and get to know situations, get to know the world, get to know history, learn history, and I don't know. Yeah, I hope they travel, and I'm gonna do my best to instill that in them. And it's fun because like they get to meet, they've met several of my friends when they're in town or whatever, and that's fun to have my children meet them and let them hear the stories. And
That is really cool. One of the other things that I wanted to point out too is when you are done, when you were coming home, when you were off the road, and you came back home, Home Depot was still there.
yeah.
Like they didn't go anywhere.
No,
and
no.
you ended up coming back and you ended up getting your job back at Home Depot.
I got a better job.
You did. You actually got a better job, a better position at Home Depot than you had when you left. And like it was okay. Like you survived.
Yeah.
You survived financially, you survived emotionally, you survived all the pressure that you had coming in from the outside. You survived corporately. And so I think that like a lot of times we feel like if we leave, then it's gone forever.
Yeah.
Or, it's never attainable again. I need to stay here because this wherever I'm at right now is a huge benefit for
It's
us right
comfortable.
now.
Comfort,
And if
yes.
I leave it, then I may not ever get it back. Well, guess what? And even if you didn't go back to Home Depot,
Yeah.
there are other places
Yeah.
that you could have
Yeah.
gone easily to be able to fulfill your career desire or
Yeah.
need. So what kind of advice would you give somebody who right now may be listening to this who going, you know what? I do desire something differently than what I'm doing right now. And I do want to step out of my comfort zone and pursue my passion and my dream, whether it be traveling or whether it be, anything that doesn't fit in with where they're at right now in their life. You had to uproot your entire life and change everything to do this.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that person?
Go for it. I remember there were times that I did get homesick, and I just wanted to hang out with you and talk, I just kind of wanted what my normal was before. I just wanted that. And I think that led to like a really expensive phone call from Japan.
It did. We actually had a 1-800. We signed up for a 1-800 number to our home, which was really funny that when you're signing up for a 1-800 number and then you tell other people that you have a 1-800 number to your home, that, they start to ask a lot of questions about that.
Yeah.
What business are you doing?
But we did. We actually signed up for a 1-800 number to our home just for that
heavy.
entire year, just so you could call me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And I needed that. Like, I needed to know that everything was okay at home. And that, like, I don't know, it's so fast and there's so much and it's so intense. Like, you need to know that it was okay at home.
Right.
But then it's like I got home, or even when I came home for the break, I remember
Still the
thinking,
same.
nothing has
Yeah,
changed.
nothing
I haven't,
has changed.
I haven't
You
missed
have.
anything.
Yeah.
I think just go for it, And there's always going to be somebody, there's always the naysayers. And I think if you look, those people might be the ones that never tried it.
They're afraid.
Themselves,
I
right.
remember I had an advisor in college. I don't know why this guy was an advisor in college. It was my senior year, and he was trying to tell me that I shouldn't major in theater. He was like, well, I wanted to be a rock musician. And I'm like, I'm sorry that didn't work out for
Right.
you. And I don't know where this degree is going to take me. I don't even know if I'm getting this degree so that I can do theater for the rest of my life. But this is what I want to major in. This is where my passion is.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to do. And so I feel like there's those people that maybe they've tried it and they didn't succeed, or maybe they never tried at all. They were too scared, And I just think you have to put yourself out there. Like, I really feel like if it's your passion, a God-given passion down inside of you, like, you're going to be protected. It's going to be okay. Like, it will work out, and it did. And I remember one of my fears was, host families. I stayed with the most amazing people. And time again, God just confirmed, that he was taking care of me. I mean, I remember like several of my host families that I was hosted with by myself in the U.S. would bring me these big flower bouquets to the performance. And I remember my vocal instructor, who had traveled as a student the year before, she was like, did you get flowers again?
Oh, that's so
and I'm
nice.
like, she was like, what do you do? Like, how do you know? I'm like, I don't know. But I just and I would have really good conversations with them. And they were everybody from, young parents. I had one family where the mom had told the little girls that I would sing for them. I'd sing them to sleep. And I was like, so I sang them my little nighttime song that I grew up with. And then I remember after her kids went to bed, her husband had traveled out of town, and I had a really good conversation with her, sitting on the couch, this young mom. I didn't know anything about being a young mom, but for the love of Pete, like, now that I've been a young mom, to be able to put my kids to bed and sit on the couch and have a conversation with a young girl from it, I mean, that would be so refreshing to me.
Yeah.
So I hope that they were blessed, by having me in their home as much as I was blessed by, their hospitality and just the conversations, it was just neat.
You had told me a story recently about a host family that you had gone to stay with, and their daughter was actually very young.
Yeah.
And so then you just saw her actually at the
the
reunion
reunion.
because she
Oh.
decided to grow up and travel with people as well.
Yes, we were in Montevideo, Minnesota, and we knew going into the town it had just flooded. Oh, wow. So we were coming in on the tail end of a flood where they had been cleaning up days, if not a week prior to our visit, and I think they were even not sure if we were going to be able to go there. I remember being in the bus, crossing a bridge and looking down, and the water was this far from the top of the bridge.
So
And
about
I
a
remember
foot.
thinking, Lord Jesus, please help this bridge hold as we
Right.
roll, our 3 buses and our semi over it.
Wow.
But the Lebke family, oh my goodness, they were so sweet. They had I guess she was 16, a 16-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old daughter. And the 16-year-old had just gotten her driver's license. And I remember me and Nong from Thailand were hosted with them. We couldn't, they had told us, don't flush the toilet unless you absolutely have to.
wow.
There's a water shortage. So, we were having to eat on paper plates. And she even wrote that in my host family book. She's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, whatever. But we had to take real short showers. And I mean, it was just, we had to accommodate for the fact that there was a water shortage. I think some of the students went and did community service sandbagging, with the town. And so I know that the high school ended up sponsoring the entire show. Like nobody had to pay to get into the show.
Oh, good.
So that the whole town kind of as a
Yeah.
bringing the town together.
Yeah.
We just
Been
had this
through
bad
this.
thing happen. Yeah. So the show was kind of exciting, it was even more exciting for them. And it was the hometown of one of my castmates, Karen Anderson. And so, she was excited for us to be in her hometown. And then I stayed with this family, and the 16-year-old who had just gotten her license took me and Nong. She wanted to take us cruising, and she took us out. And I remember poor little Megan, she wanted to go so bad. And her parents would not let her go. And she was crying, and I felt so bad. Sweet little redhead. So, sweet family. So fast forward to probably about 3 years ago, I get a Facebook message saying, did you travel? Were you maybe in a cast that was in Montevideo in 1997? And I was like, oh my goodness. She's like,
Somebody's recognized me.
I traveled in cast. I don't even remember what cast she traveled in, but she grew up, traveled in a cast, and now she works for the organization.
Oh, wow.
She's on the board of governors.
Oh, my goodness.
She helped set up the reunion.
Leaving a legacy.
So it was so cool. So, when I knew she was going to be at the reunion, I was like, the minute I get to the hotel, I will text you, and I went and found her little picture in my host family book. And so, look at her. How cute. She was like the Fiesta.
Oh,
what is
my
she? The
goodness.
Fiesta princess. Fiesta
Yeah.
Junior princess.
Oh, look at
Wow.
her.
So, and then she wrote,
Maybe I shouldn't take- we haven't gotten their
look,
authorization.
she said, it's sad to
Oh.
see you go. You were fun to have. I hope you have a good time here in Monte. Good luck in your she said, performance. I'll look for you. I know you'll do your very best. Say hi to your family in Atlanta. Have fun as you continue your trip and up with people. Love, Megan H10.
Oh,
So sweet.
Okay, so every time you went somewhere, I get it. You
Yes,
put a picture
yes.
or
So
they
the
wrote
host
something.
family,
Got
yes,
it.
they would sign. And this was before Facebook. So
Right.
I've tried to track some of these people down because I would love.
Yeah.
I mean, and even the dads. I mean, just super sweet. I mean, it's just.
This has been awesome talking
Yes.
with you. This has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I have to also clarify that we are all sitting around the table in our pajamas.
Yes.
This is a morning interview, which I don't think we've ever done before, which is actually pretty good. So coffee, we're sitting here in our pajamas. I think I may actually be wearing yesterday's makeup. So
I thought you were going to say yesterday's pajamas.
I am clean.
this is the awesome thing about podcasting is that we can sit here and it doesn't matter what we look like.
Yes.
I have a shirt and a necktie.
But you are the
on.
only person that I would probably interview in my pajamas, just because we've been through life together, so many things together, so much stuff, which we could probably have you on
do several
again
podcasts.
on another
Yeah.
podcast, to talk about life and
Yes.
things. So thank you for sharing your
welcome.
adventure
Thank
up with
you.
people, and I hope so much that this encourages somebody to seek and cultivate their own passion of something that is different.
Why not? Why
not?
No, why not?
Well, and you get locked into what you think you're supposed to do.
Right.
By what maybe your parents or the people who have gone before you have done. And so I think maybe a little rebellious, part of me was like, I don't have to do that. Like,
Right.
I'm gonna see the world. Like, I want to do something different.
That's it for today. Tune in next time as we continue to dive into life.
In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. You can find us at teaoflifepodcast.com or follow us on Instagram at teaoflifepodcast.
Until next time, in the words of Monty Python,
Make tea, not war.